Stephanie, good? Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. It is 10:01. We will call to order now our Board of Commissioners meeting. It is Tuesday, May 24th. If you would, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Before we go into public comment, we just want to welcome officially Erin Good as our new Executive Office Supervisor here in the Commissioner's Office. We're excited to have her with Natalie Smith's departure. Erin is taking over that role. She's hit the ground running 2 days in, and we thank her and welcome her here this morning. Congratulations, Erin. At this time, we will accept public comment for items not appearing on the agenda. Is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll look for any additions to our agenda. Any additions needed?
There are none.
Okay. We will look for a motion to approve our minutes held on Tuesday, May 17th.
Motion to approve the minutes for May 17th.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. Heading into our proclamations, the 22nd proclamation of 2022 is to proclaim the 50th anniversary and to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Center County Recycling and Refuse Authority. We have Joanne, Denny, and Rick with us today to talk a little bit about what this means for them and all the work that they've been doing. So welcome to each and every one of you. We're excited to do this, and again, this is our pleasure to have you here today. We've been a long-term partner with the CCRRA and look forward to your comments today. So good morning.
Great. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for having us today. So as Mike mentioned, my name is Joanne Schaefer. I'm the Deputy Director and Recycling Coordinator at the Center County Recycling and Refuse Authority. I have our Board Chair, Dr. Rick Stahauer, with us today, and also Dennis Haumeister, Vice Chairman of the Authority Board. And we're thrilled to be here. 50 years is a long time. So I thought what I would do today is sort of highlight a couple of the things that have happened. I will be with the Authority 32 years this coming August. So it's been like 60% of the existence of the Authority. I happened to look at that this morning and thought, wow, it's a long time. But with the inception of the Authority, the creation of the Authority by the Center County Board of Commissioners, one of whom at the time was the late Senator Corman, going back quite some time. 1972, the Authority had 4 employees. Today we have 72, so we are certainly an employer in the county. Our recycling rate in 1972 was unknown. No one was counting recycling then. Now we're well over 50%. Over the last at least 35 years, we've brought somewhere in the vicinity of $42 million in grant funds to the Authority, the county, and Center County municipalities. At the time, the preferred method of disposal in many parts of Center County was the personal incineration device, otherwise known as the backyard burn barrel. We are now headed to a double-lined landfill, very, very safe. That's a little bit about the past. What I'd like to do is, with my colleagues, talk a little bit about the future. What are the next 50 years going to bring? The authorities recently conducted an update to our long-range strategic plan, which does call for zero waste in the next couple of decades. So we've been dedicated to having that vision. Zero waste doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to have absolutely nothing, but it means shifting, reducing, reusing, and recycling. New technologies, I'm sure, are going to be coming down the pike. My method of recycling in 1972, and I was to take a wagon around to the neighborhood and collect newsprint. Now, again, we employ 72 people. We're looking at some technologies for continued plastic sortations. Organics recycling will be the wave of the future. So I'm really hoping, and I know that we all are, that with that vision, that you all will continue, and all of the residents of the county. When I first started, no one knew what recycling was. Now, every school kid that we take through our education system, fifth grader, already knows that they're supposed to be putting something out in that red bin or the drop-off bin every week. So we've come a long ways, but we have a long ways left to go.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joanne. Certainly, I think we recognize you as the de facto ambassador for recycling here in Center County. The over 3 decades of service is quite incredible. And as we celebrate half a century of this authority and the work that's being done, it's really meaningful, very impactful. So thank you for looking in the past, but also to the future. It's important. But certainly happy to hear from either Denny or Rick if there's any comments you'd like to make.
Yeah, thank you. The county commissioner saw fit to appoint me to the authority board in 2007. I've been on the board since then, the last few years as board chair, and it's really been a privilege to work in that organization. We have benefited from the longevity of both Ted Onufrak and Joanne. Their long service, 30-plus years, has really benefited the organization. And as Joanne mentioned, we've just conducted a revamping of our strategic plan and are looking forward to expanding recycling for the county. And I think we're also quite proud that Center County has one of the recognized as one of the premier recycling organizations and systems in the state, if not even beyond our state. So I think we can all be proud of that and definitely look forward to continuing improvement in the future.
Thank you.
The immediate future would be occurring next Saturday when we have the open house. And because we have CNET here, I invite all of our residents in the Center region to come between 9 and 12 and take a walk around the complex and see where your trash goes and see how things are sorted out and how they're baled and put on trucks and shipped out. It's a phenomenal operation. So put it on your calendar from 9 to 12 tomorrow. Not next Saturday, the 4th.
Let's make it happen. Any other comments or questions? Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, go ahead, Mark.
We're very fortunate to have such a great recycling and refuse authority. I've used the facility myself many times. It's difficult to imagine how large a mountain of recycling that you've processed in the last 50 years, but obviously those products have been reused multiple times, and we haven't had to create a gigantic mountain full of recyclables here in Center County. So appreciate everything that you and the entire group has done, and also thanks for agreeing to be our testing site for COVID so many times for so many months.
People are still popping in from time to time.
I was just there yesterday, actually, and it amazes me, particularly when you talk about recycling. You have piles of metal, you have piles of wood, you have piles of tires, piles of electronics. It just, and to think that just a few short years ago, all that was just, sort of a conglomeration in a landfill. It's remarkable what you've done for. It just makes sense. First of all, economically, metal has value. And a lot of those other things have value, but also just the environment has a lot of value, and we are better for the fact that we're taking those things out of landfills, out of streams, and you used to see just dump sites, and everybody had you talked about burn barrels, but I think about the old-fashioned garbage pits where that's just where things went, and now it's it's an entirely different world, and I think we're better for it. So thank you.
The amazing thing to me is the electronic recycling. The items that are coming through there, massive TVs, at the same time the old black and white TVs and wooden cabinets. So, and that dates back 50 or so years. So we have that whole range of material coming into the recycling station, and iPads and computers and everything. It's just amazing how we're running all that back into the system.
And there's a lot of particularly precious metal in those in those machines that really deserve to be to recycle. So
We're also supporting a Center County Industry e-loop, which is located in the old Corning building across the street from the transfer station. So they are actually the folks, and I think they're up to about 20 employees now. So, looking at it as a potential for economic development. Your point is well taken, Steve. Thank you.
Again, 50 years ago, who would have thought the amount of electronics and all that we use? Who knows what 50 years will staff and also the team that's on the board of directors. I think we're going to be well positioned for the future, and I think our community agrees with that. So, again, thank you for all the work you do. We're really pleased to have this proclamation before us, and we'll look for a motion at this time to adopt it.
Motion to adopt Proclamation number 22, which is my favorite number, proclaiming the 50th anniversary of Center County Recycling and Refuse Authority in Center County.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt Proclamation 22 of 2022. Is a motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. The motion has carried. Okay. All right, so we would love to have you come up, and we'll present the proclamation to you at this time.
Please.
Okay, so Rick, there you go again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hand that over to you.
Thank you.
All right, then Aaron is going to get a picture for us, and we'll send you a copy, okay? We'll send you a copy. Thanks, sir. Thank
We
you.
will recycle that photo.
There you go. There you go.
Depends on how it turns out.
Luckily, it's digital. You don't even have to print it out.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Joe.
Steve,
Pleasure.
good to see you as always.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure. Keep this crew under control.
Yep.
Okay, at this time, we are going to welcome up Joni McIntyre, and we're also going to welcome, virtually, our friends. We're making progress. This is so exciting today. We've got our friends from Public Financial Management and also from Eckert Siemens that are with us, and we're going to turn it over to Joni. We just want to make sure everybody can hear us okay on the video there. I think we're good. Excellent. Fantastic. Okay. Joni, please.
Perfect. Good morning. We're asking for the approval to enter into the contract negotiations for the RFP for the professional underwriting services. The county retained PFM as its municipal advisor and Eckert Siemens as bond counsel for this transaction. PFM received 4 very strong proposals in which they have reviewed and assessed per the criteria in the RFP. They're online now to go over and discuss the assessment and their recommendation for the underwriting services.
And just for the record, this is for the Centercrest project, which. so
Absolutely, yes.
clear as to
Absolutely.
the bond issuance for that process.
Okay, so Dan, Garrett, and John, we'll turn it over to you.
Great. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, super. Nice to see everyone this morning. Thanks for having us on. I'm Dan Kozloff from PFM, the financial advisor to the county for this bond transaction. Garrett Moore, my colleague from PFM, is on as well, and as described, John Cox from Eckert Siemens Bond Counsel on the line as well. We sent out the RFP, request for proposal, to banking firms. I think Garrett was about 3 weeks ago. They had 2 weeks to respond. We sent it to 6 firms: Janney Montgomery Scott, PNC, Raymond James, Stiefel Nicholas, Benning and Scattergood, and RBC. All firms that are quite active in the Pennsylvania local government market. They had 2 weeks to respond. We received those responses, I believe it was last Wednesday. We received 4 responses to those proposals, coming from, in no particular order, Raymond James, Stiefel, Janney Montgomery Scott, and PNC Capital Markets. We did not receive responses from Benning and Scattergood or RBC. Both of those firms are having some personnel, recent or potentially coming personnel transitions that we are aware of, and we assume that that is the reason that they did not respond. We do not think, and we're confident that it is no reflection on the county or their desires to do business with the county. I just don't think they were in the right spot to have a competitive response. So that narrows the group down to 4 responses coming from Janney, PNC, Raymond James, and Stifel. Broadly, we've worked with all of these firms, and we think these are all good, well-qualified firms. Any one of the 4 we think could do a nice job for the county. Their responses were thorough, thoughtful, and clearly they're all eager to work with you all for this transaction. In thinking about which one would be best suited for the county and potentially position the county best for success, we would recommend to the county that they move forward with the Janney Montgomery Scott proposal. Janney was comparable, as I said, to all of the other responding firms in terms of their experience and their capabilities in this market. Similar types of local government experience and activity here in Pennsylvania. The Janney proposal was the most aggressive on their costs and pricing relative to the other proposals. We, PFM, are very familiar with all the firms, and we work well with all of them, Janney being included in that group. So that would be our recommendation here. The one thing I just to make sure that everyone is fully aware, the previous transactions, public transactions that the county has undertaken, they have used PNC in the past as an underwriter, and they've done a fine job. So this is not meant to be a negative view on any of the other firms, PNC, Raymond James, or Stifel. But again, they all had similar qualifications. We think they all have similar capabilities in the Pennsylvania market, in the current market that we're in the municipal landscape, which is not a great one right now. It's quite volatile. We've nicely had a few days of the bond market rallying, which we like, but we've seen it and it's kind of bounced around. So it's not a terrific, it's a choppy bond market right now, but we think these firms are all well positioned to perform in it. But again, Janney, through their pricing and their cost proposal, was the most aggressive and competitive, and we think that would position them well to serve the county on this transaction. Garrett or John, if you have anything to add, please don't hesitate to chime in, and certainly happy to take any questions from those in the room.
Nothing from me. Thank you, Dan.
Garrett? You're muted, but it sounded like
Yep.
you said no.
Yep, nothing from me. I think you summarized it perfectly.
Thank you.
So again, Dan Kozloff and Garrett Moore with PFM, and John Cox is with Eckert Siemens, and we want to thank them first and foremost for the work that was done on this, and Joni as well. Thank you for presenting this today and for this recommendation. It sounds like a sound one, and we would look for if there's any further questions or comments related to this, but currently the recommendation is for us to enter into contract negotiations with Janney Montgomery Scott. But any questions or comments for members of the team?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I had a busy day yesterday, so I was reviewing this last night between like 11 o'clock and midnight, which is maybe not the best time to be reviewing financial documents this detailed, but it was well laid out. I really liked the summary spreadsheet. But it would appear that the differences in the cost between the firms are actually very, very, very small. starting out at about the third percentage point in some cases. I think maybe our biggest concern is just being absolutely certain that whichever firm we choose can actually get all of the bonds sold. Do you have a long-term relationship with this? Is it Janie Montgomery?
It's pronounced Janie.
Janie.
Yeah, and just to be clear, and I know I assume you meant the word relationship in terms of have we worked with them. There's no formal relationship between us in any of these firms. Yeah, we've done a lot of transactions. You know, we do hundreds of transactions a year in the Pennsylvania landscape amongst local governments, amongst issuers just like yourselves. And we've worked with all of these firms. They all have a significant presence here in the Pennsylvania market, which is why they were recipients of the RFP, you know, based on our recommendation of who might receive it. To your point on, you know, wanting to get the firm that's going to be able to get this transaction done, sell these bonds into, as I said, what is, you know, a suboptimal, choppy market, depending on what day you happen to be in it. We think that all of these firms are well positioned to do that, and you know, understand, you know, that for, you know, these are underwriting firms, so sometimes you go into the market and you actually can't sell all the bonds out to investors, and their underwriters are required to actually step up and underwrite the bonds, which means take them on their own in order to successfully execute and complete the transaction. And to answer your question directly, yes, we've seen Janie be willing to step up, use its own balance sheet to make sure that these bonds get sold and move, and you know, the issuer be able to successfully receive the proceeds for the transaction that they're looking for in order to begin work or complete whatever project it is that they're working on. So yes, we're comfortable that Janie is in a position to be able to do that. And yes, the cost differentials between these firms do seem small, but remember, you're applying these rates to, you know, $33 million here. And so when you do that and you spread out the term of these bonds over a longer period of time, and obviously you've got that interest accruing over time, you know, it could equate to real dollars for the county in terms of debt service costs or opportunity costs.
I'm just going to say we've had a great working relationship with PNC over the years, and regrettably, you know, I'm going to have to go with follow the recommendation of PFM, but I would be comfortable with PMC as well, because I've seen their work and their capabilities and been very impressed. But that being said, I'm willing to follow the recommendation of the experts.
PNC has done a good job last couple of months.
They have.
Well,
we don't disagree with that.
Well, I think from reviewing and again, I respect the recommendation, and from reviewing the documents that were put forward by each of the firms, I think Janie did satisfy any concerns that we might have from my perspective of going with them rather than PNC. But there is, again, the multiplier on this total issuance. Looks like the savings will be several tens of thousands for the difference between those two firms, but I think Janie has satisfied that. So we would look for a motion at this time to enter into contract negotiations with Janie Montgomery Scott.
Motion to enter into contract negotiations for the RFP with Janie Montgomery Scott.
We'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Questions? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. We do want to thank all of the other entities that did put in an RFP, and maybe there will be an opportunity for us to work with them in the future. But again, Dan, John, and Garrett, thank you so much for your time today. We wish you all the best, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you all very much, and thanks to John and Joni for their help in moving this along as well, and Margaret for
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Joni, as well. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're going to move into our contracts and authorization section. We're going to welcome up Natalie Corman, and we have several.
17 contracts on behalf of
I
children and
know.
youth. So I'm going to summarize. So on behalf of children and youth, we have the contracts here before you. 16 of the 17 are for the upcoming fiscal year, July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Contract number 5 is for calendar year 22, specific to testing. And so these really break down into a variety of areas. We have 5 that are specific to childcare services. We have 2 that are for community services, 2 that are for counseling, 1 is for residential. As I said, 1 is for testing. We have 3 that are specific to our technology, the CAPS system that Children and Youth uses as their database, and then 3 that are specific to our legal team that Children and Youth acquires. So of the 17 totaling contracts, that totals $286,988.84. And the county share of that is $68,158.74, all budgeted within our within our state budget.
Thank you, Natalie. Any questions or comments on any of these 17 items before we look for a motion? We'll look for a motion then.
Motion to add the children, let me get the abbreviation properly here, Children and Youth Services, items 1 through 17 to next week's consent agenda.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay.
Okay, so on behalf of MHID, we have before you the fiscal year 2021 income and expenditures report, specific to our Office of Child Development and Early Learning, which for us is our early intervention program. This report totals $1,020,944, with the county share being $98,442. And this report reflects the just over 200 children that early intervention served during the fiscal year 2021. It also shows 50%, around 50% of our funding expenditures goes to purchase client services. So the contracts that you see before you often, this is reflective in it. The other about 25% is for our service coordinators that we have in-house, the 3 plus supervisor plus coordinator. And then the rest go toward operating cost. We have to buy quite a bit of testing tools, so that's reflected in it, and as well as any training that the department does, both ourselves and with the providers. So it shows it. It is a little under what the previous year was. I know we like to compare that. But that really, a little bit of, obviously, is reflected in COVID. This entire time period, minus 4 days, it was a completely remote. And with the guidance that we received from the state, a lot of our sessions were done remotely. And so some of the time that we would spend with families sometimes in-house shortened a little bit because of the remote ability. There wasn't the travel, and some sessions just didn't last as long. So it's not as if we didn't provide a lot of services, it's just some of that COVID impact is reflective in the fact that we didn't spend as much as we might have previously.
Thank you, Natalie. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay. Seeing none, we'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve the fiscal year 2020-2021 income and expenditures report for the Pennsylvania Office of Child Development and Early Learning.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 The motion is carried.
Thank you.
Natalie. Thank you. Okay, we're going to welcome up Jeff Warren to discuss our 22 Emergency Management Performance Grant. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, everyone. I'd ask that the board please approve the submission of the Center County's application for the federal fiscal year 2022 Emergency Management Performance Grant. This particular grant provides up to 50% reimbursement for the salaries and benefits of our employees in the office. A couple things I want to point out to you, and you had a CCAP presentation about this last summer with the director of PEMA, is that the grant is being reduced. We're still waiting for reimbursement from last year. The particular grant we're submitting for right now, the period is October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. We're still waiting for reimbursement from last year, and we have a check that's been approved in the amount of $105,343. This year, we're asking for up to $113,442.84, but I will bring it to your attention that the projected award for this is going to be $88,942 under their new formula and reduction. We would have received that reduction last year, but they threw in almost an extra $20,000 out of the Rescue Act money to make it closer to that 50%.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Any questions or comments on this? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the submission of the Emergency Management Performance Grant to next week's consent agenda.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Kristen. We'll welcome you up to discuss a contract.
Good morning, thank you.
Sure.
Jeff's much taller than me. I'm looking for approval of a contract with Cby Systems. We must conduct credit checks on all sheriff hires. This is part of Act 57. We looked at several different companies that do this, provided to me through SHRP and other counties and what they use. They came highly recommended. Some other counties that use them are like Lancaster and Washington County, both use them as well. They charge us, they do an on-site inspection. They come make sure our files are secure, make sure that we're tracking things correctly, and then there's a $45 annual fee, and it costs about $14.25 for each background check that we have to do. So just estimating the number of hires, we estimate it to be under $500 annually to run these credit checks that are required for the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Kristen. And is this something, the Act 57, is this a long-standing requirement or is this recent?
This started in 2021.
Okay.
It was effective in August of 2021. So it doesn't apply to all. It doesn't only apply really to our sheriff's office and then the investigator's position in the district attorney's office. Those are the only ones that it applies to. So.
Okay. Thank you, Kristen. Any questions, further questions? Okay. We'll look for a motion.
Motion to add the contract with Cby Systems to next week's consent agenda.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Questions? All right. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Okay. Ray, we'll welcome you up for contract addendum and another grant announcement, grant funding. Good morning.
Great. Good morning, Commissioners. You have two items this morning, two unrelated, but the first item is a contract addendum for Herbert Rowland and Grubik, who is our CAP coordinator, and they are going to provide engineering services under this agreement as our coordinator. Under this supplement, which will amend April 14th agreement from 2020, we're going to include best management practice verification. HRG will subcontract GIS processing to Chesapeake Conservancy and provide a direct assistance to Center County for field verification. So what this really means is that the state allocated an extra $30,000 at the end of 2021 to not only have an in-house intern in the Conservation District, but to also have the Chesapeake Conservancy assist us with verifying these best management practices that are out there and not recorded. That's why we're doing it through remote sensing and GIS. This total for the Chesapeake Conservancy is $21,000. The money, again, has already been received through DEP, so we have that in hand.
Excellent. Any questions or comments for Ray? Okay. All right. We'll look for a motion.
Motion to add the contract addendum with HRG Inc. to next week's consent agenda.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Okay.
The second request is that we have heard from the Office of Budget that the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program grant that will be directed towards the Center of Volunteers in Medicine has been increased by $500,000 by Governor Wolf, and the allocation needs an acceptance from Center County as the grantee as we were passed through for that $500,000. We had an initial kickoff meeting with CVIM, the Office of Budget Consultant, Tetra Tech, and also Delta Development to begin this process. We'll be getting agreements together after this is accepted by the commissioners. And I think right now they're going through the land development process in Ferguson Township to modify that building.
Thank you very much, Ray. Any other comments or questions on this? Yeah,
That's wonderful news.
absolutely. Yeah.
$500,000 is not, not easy to raise in a couple $100 increments. So, and you said it was an increase by Governor Wolf? That's wonderful. I'm very happy to help move that paperwork along.
We should mention, yeah, and Senator Corman and
Senator Corman.
yeah, I think Representative Benninghoff as well were integral in this. But yeah, team effort at the state level for sure. But I think it takes it from 1.5 to 2 million. I believe that's what the new total is, or maybe 1 million to 1.5.
That's correct. That's what I've received, the 1.5 million.
Okay, so this takes it from 1 million to 1.5.
Correct.
Okay, great. Yeah. Wonderful news for the team at CVIM. And it looks like we're going to look for a motion to approve. Would there be a motion?
Motion to approve the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program grant funding for the CVIM clinic construction.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final questions or discussion on this? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Ray, thanks again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we'll welcome up Krista, and we're discussing our approval for submission and also contract renewal. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. So yes, I have two things I would like to talk with you about this morning. The first is to seek your approval on a grant application to our insurance carrier, which is Pennsylvania County's Risk Pool. So this year they've offered us up to $30,000 in funds to spend on projects that enhance the safety and the security of our visitors. And so over the past months, I've put together a list of items that we could apply for this money. So they range, you have the table, but they range from ice cleats for our van drivers to an x-ray machine for our courthouse entrance and also CPR teaching supplies. So the total grant comes to $29,718.35. It hugs right up there to the 30,000. And that is the first item. And the second item, if I just can keep going, okay, is also about our insurance carrier. The time has come for us to renew our annual policy. We have a robust history with PCOR. They are a great insurer of ours, and I do recommend staying with the pool this year because our insurance market outside is very volatile. So we're just looking at a 4.5% increase this year for PCOR, which isn't as high as it could be. So the total quote for the annual premium, starting on June 1st, coming up real soon, is $417,548, and that will carry us through for the next year for all of our property casualty needs for the whole county, which is pretty significant. So that is, so I'm asking you for approval for those two items.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Krista. Any questions?
Just want to check, since the insurance starts June 1st, do we need to approve that one immediately and sign it today, or can we wait until next week?
It's slated that if we go through the regular consent agenda process, it'll still be okay. Yep. Thanks for asking.
Sounds good. Let's think off the top of our heads. What could we get for $281? What could we get? Band-Aids? Could we get?
There's definitely been some discussion about that.
Okay. Well, we'll give you. I think we can give you the latitude with this motion to, if you can find another $300 for things. We'll
Facilities department needs cleats or something.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Very good point. That's definitely, I can add that to the list for sure.
This will go back. We don't get any credit. This doesn't. It's not like a rollover where we get this credit next year. It just disappears.
We
Okay.
would lose it, right.
Just half tongue in cheek. Yeah.
Sure.
But thank you for identifying those things, especially the sheriff's office. I think they're really going to like a new configuration there, so that's great. Thank you for working on that, Krista. Appreciate that. All right, we'll look for a motion.
Motion to add the risk management items 1 and 2 to next week's consent agenda.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
Okay, we have today's consent agenda in front of us. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve today's consent agenda. Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Consent agenda has been approved. We have several appointments, reappointments, and term expirations listed here. They're for individuals serving on MHID, EI Advisory Board, the Aging Advisory Council, and also the Aging Advisory Board. We also have an individual for the Local Emergency Planning Committee. So we will look for a motion to approve those appointments, reappointments, and term expirations.
Motion to approve the authorities, boards, and commissions appointments, reappointments, and term expirations.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Okay. And we'll welcome Joni back up, I think, for liquid fuels. Thank you, Joni.
Okay, the first one is to consider approval for the submission of the 2021 report for the county fee for local use funds to Penndot. I can give you a high-level summary. $610,990 was received. Paid out was $348,431, and that was per the planning schedule for the multi-bridge contracts. So the total at the end would be $1,904,871 is still left in that account. The next item is the consider approval for the submission of the 2120 report for liquid fuels tax fund to Penndot. That list is the one we received money from the state, and the money received was $164,026. Spent was the $51,242. Again, that was per planning schedule, resurfacing roads. Let me find it here. In Walker Township, Center County, Center Hall, it was, again, per the planning schedule. They also have $35,000 encumbered to resurface Walnut Road, so that total would be about $85,000, $86,000. The total amount left in that account is $291,498. And the last item to be considered is for the approval of liquid fuels reimbursement payment in the amount of $241.52. This was for, I believe, the red. This is liquid fuels actually reimbursing the county, which you probably already knew.
For our only traffic light.
Yes, the billings for the light on Richel Hill Road. Yep, from PP or from West Penn. Yes.
Thank you, Joni. Any questions or comments? We'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the liquid fuels and fee for local use items 1 through 3.
I will second that with the annotation that we own no roads or bridges, but we do own one traffic light that soon will be shared by a number of people in the neighborhood there, and hopefully will be very successful.
Absolutely. Okay. Moved and seconded with that annotation, with that note. Absolutely, absolutely. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion has carried. Okay. Thank you, Joni. All right, we'll turn to Commissioner Higgins for our check run.
Sure, we have a substantially smaller than normal check run in the amount of $613,075.73. Very fortunately, we had a well-timed check of the week to the Bollesburg Cemetery Association for $138. And of course, hopefully, everybody's aware of the big doings we're going to have in Bollesburg over the weekend. First place Memorial Day was celebrated, where you actually put flowers and other memorials on the graves of people you weren't related to. We've got the Fire Company Carnival on Friday. The commissioners will be at Sayers Dam at Bold Eagle State Park at 6 o'clock for a short ceremony. And then, of course, on Saturday, more carnival and the Fire Company Parade. I have down 5 p.m. Is that the usual? Yeah, at 5 p.m. Plus, of course, all sorts of reenactors and food and art and just a heck of a good time. And many other locations throughout the county, too.
Yes, it's worth saying that there are a variety and literally multiple events going on over the Memorial Day weekend that we all appreciate.
I believe our courthouse also will be home to one of those on this weekend. So absolutely, but a lot of events in all of our communities. And so thank you for showcasing that, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
And so I will make the motion to approve the check run dated May 20th.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on today's check run? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. Okay. John, we'll turn it to you for anything to report. Okay. Okay. And we just had a primary, so we're guessing no.
No voter
Okay.
registration.
All right, we'll stay tuned for that. We do want to, again, remind folks that this Monday, 6 days from now, for Memorial Day, our offices will be closed, and we will be holding our next commissioners' meeting on the 31st. Okay. Any executive sessions that we should report?
No executive sessions to report for the Board of Commissioners.
Okay, thank you, John. All right, we have the balance of our schedule there, and we'll open it to any questions. Gary or Peyton, please.
Well, looking at the primary election, have all votes been counted at this point?
I think we.
I would say no at this point. We just have received guidance from the state that we have to do a consideration of the outstanding undated mail-in votes, but also there are some military ballots that need added to the mix as well. So we will complete that by 5 o'clock today. And we will have a 4 o'clock election board meeting to facilitate that process.
To go to Commissioner Dersham's point, we have roughly 50 ballots that are undated, mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, and then we just received 5 military. So vast majority have been tabulated, but still we respect the fact that folks overseas are military personnel. As long as it's postmarked by the 16th, the day before the primary, and received today, by this afternoon it'll count. So we may receive some in the next few hours here.
And before the undated ballots were really brought to attention, how did the county handle submissions that did not have a handwritten date?
We had at an election board meeting rejected them due to the precedent that was set in the November 2020 election. But as we are still proceeding, we can reopen that discussion later today. But they were basically set aside, segregated, and secured. And we have not yet alerted the voter to the final determination for that. But we'll, again, look at that today.
The directive from the state only was about those ballots that did not concern a possible recount.
We won't know that until Wednesday. The secretary will advise, but the gap, the margin is narrowing. It's going to be quite close, depending on the determination of these ballots. But we did a recount in November, preceding or following the general election in November, and so our team is well prepared to do it. We have noted that prior to bringing on board Beth Leckman, our elections director, we didn't have recounts. She appears, and now we have a recount every election. So she is our good luck charm. But she's very well capable of doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
The county or the state pays for a recount? Who pays for that?
In the case of an automatic recount, the state would reimburse us.
Okay. The bond issue today, you're still looking 33 million?
That is correct. That is correct.
Bulk of the money for Center Crest renovations still?
Yes, we have some set aside for Willowbank and the courthouse, but again, the bulk is certainly for Center Crest, the renovations there. Yep.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question.
Please, yeah, please.
Looking at Center Volunteers in Medicine, they really have grown over the past 2 years, and they call themselves the little clinic that could. Could you just talk a little bit about your thoughts on the growth they have experienced recently and this recent funding?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, more healthcare is better healthcare, and it's an opportunity for them to serve and continue serving and better serve a segment of our population that desperately needs it. So I think whatever the community can do to get behind their efforts to continue that mission, I would suggest would be very positive.
I believe the new facility has room for at least one dentist's office. I believe they can now begin offering mental health counseling services in the facility. A lot of new things that they can bring on board, and obviously the commissioners greatly appreciate all the work they do for the people in Center County who either don't have health insurance or don't have good health insurance.
It's probably one of the most popular and well-known nonprofits currently in Center County because of the work they did with the vaccination program. And due to that, it gets the word out about them and the services. Again, the downside is more folks are coming in the door, and so they've really aligned themselves to work with the state government to get these funds, doing a capital campaign as well, and so it's an extension of the community saying thank you for the work that they've done. So we really appreciate what they've done. To go to both my colleagues' point, they've really stepped up during hard times.
Thank you.
Sure.
The grant announcement today was in addition to the previous $1 million. It's not a separate grant, it's in addition to the...
Yes, yes. And this was announced by, I believe, Senator Corman representing Benninghoff maybe a few weeks ago, but since we're the administrator, at least it's a pass-through for us, we just needed to take action to recognize it. Okay. All right. Sure, you're welcome. Any need for an executive session, John? We don't need one, correct? No executive sessions to hold now?
Not right now.
Okay, all right. All right, we'll look for a motion then to adjourn our meeting.
Well, before we do,
please.
I have something. I want to bring this to the attention of the board. It is my intention to reach out to the Pennsylvania DEP. There's been a number of conversations that I've had with folks that have property and have wells in adjacent to the University Park Airport, and there's some consideration about some contamination of what's called PFAS, which is firefighting foam. And I want to reach out to DEP to find out what the status of their investigation is. I know it's been going on for a while, but there are some impacts to that region that I believe includes College and Benner Township, and I just want to bring the board's attention to that and let you know that I'll be reaching out to DEP, and I'll return back with my findings when this is complete.
We know that there was a memo or a bulletin, however they term it, the DEP had sent out regarding an update to this about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Hopefully more has come of it, but it's a nice briefing that just kind of summarizes where they're at, what they found out, but certainly conversations are ongoing, but anything else you can find out, certainly we'd appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
How many households have you heard from? Ballpark?
I've heard from probably 3 or 4, but I think the region that it actually includes is very non-specific at this point. And I think I want to find out. That's one of the things I want to find out is what the expanse of their investigation, what level of contamination, because there's a lot of folks that have to filter their well water or find other sources for water at this point. So.
And these are 3 or 4 right near the airport property.
Yes. We'll look for a motion then at this time.
Motion to adjourn at 10:53.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.